time to, oh, there we go, there I am. Yeah, just give some time for people to come join us, and then, you want to, hello, I did say hello, I said hello, we are live.
Introduce yourself.
I was waiting for more people because I am the main event here, clearly. So I want to make sure everyone knows who I am. No, my name is Elijah, she, her, and I will be your MC for today, bouncing you all over Rhode Island for our virtual flag raising today. Pride flags across Rhode Island. And I'm just going to give us some time to make sure that everyone's here, everyone's ready to view the show, if you will. We have so much planned for you all across the state, and it is so amazing that all 8 cities are able to participate today. So I just want to make sure everyone has the opportunity to tune in. So, and then when I get the thumbs up, I will get the show going. How are you, all of you? We are living in a crazy time, but I'm so happy for all of you to be able to join me here to celebrate in this beautiful Pride Month. Yeah, so.
88 people, so I think we can
Yeah, so I'm just going to get rolling. So I have the honor to introduce this first speaker. Ray has been a staunch advocate for the LGBTQIA+ community for most of his adult life. As the president of Rhode Island Pride, he has focused the organization on creating an LGBTQIA+ community center and believes everyone in this community deserves a seat at the table. Everyone, Ray Sirico.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ray Sirico, president of Rhode Island Pride. It's an honor to speak to you all today. Thank you for being part of this historic event. I want to start off by acknowledging the context of this flag raising. Right now, across the nation, we are seeing phenomenal outpouring of advocacy and demands for change of our siblings of color. At Rhode Island Pride, we have committed volunteers and resources in support of this movement, and we will continue to look inward to find avenues to be inclusive and equitable within the Pride community. I also want to acknowledge the virtual nature of this event. Rhode Island Pride, along with 478 other Pride organizations around the world, have canceled or postponed their Pride events and are figuring out how to best support their community in a new way. COVID-19 has presented us with a unique challenge, but it certainly won't stop us from being together. Being together isn't about being near each other, it's about respect, relationships, and being in the struggle. So even if we can't be close, we're still in this together. When I think about COVID-19, I see a lot of similarities between this virus and the last virus our community faced. I graduated from college in 1985 during the height of the HIV crisis. It was scary, just like now. There's an air of uncertainty. People were dying, and no one really knows how it's all going to play out. There are a couple of differences too, though. COVID-19 targets everyone. HIV was spreading like wildfire, but mostly just in the gay community. As a result, America didn't get serious about it until it was too late, when the death toll was in the thousands. The real killer there was the stigma around what it meant to be a part of the LGBTQIA+ community. The fear our community experiences due to HIV is similar to the fear now gripping the entire world. But we know this fear, and our community knows how to conquer it. Just like we did during the HIV epidemic, we will band together and look out for one another. We have shown before, and will show again, that nothing will break our collective resolve. I was born in an Italian Catholic family in a small town in Connecticut. I didn't come out to my parents right away because I knew it wouldn't go well. I knew this because of comments my dad made when I was about 10 or 12 years old. He said to me, "If you ever tell me you're gay, I will disown you." I knew I couldn't stay there. So like a lot of us after high school, I headed for a big city. Boston, for me, was freedom. I remember getting lost in the crowd at my first Pride parade in Boston, feeling finally connected and hopeful for my future. It was that feeling of connectedness that called me to my community work, to provide acceptance and a family for folks who sometimes don't have anyone else to turn to. Since then, America has come a long way. Today, the United States Supreme Court ruled that it's illegal under federal law for employers to discriminate against LGBTQIA+ workers. In the midst of the COVID-19 health crisis and vitally important nationwide demonstrations in support of Black lives and against systemic racism, this decision is heartening and encouraging. Here in the Ocean State, Rhode Island became the 9th state in the nation to ban discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation in 1995. Providence elected David Cicilline as mayor in 2002, the first openly gay mayor of a U.S. state capital. And in this state, same-sex marriage was recognized almost 2 years ahead of the rest of the nation. While these are truly historic milestones, we cannot rest on our laurels. There is a lot of work that still needs doing, especially with our siblings in the gender-diverse community. So far in 2020, 14 transgender people have been murdered for being who they were. They are part of our Pride family, and we have to unite to say that transphobia has no place in Rhode Island, in the United States, or anywhere else. Also, our siblings of color need our voices. We acknowledge that for too long, the LGBTQIA+ equal rights movement has neglected issues of intersectionality within the community, and Rhode Island Pride is determined to make this a major focus for advocacy in the times to come. We at Rhode Island Pride acknowledge that for centuries, people of color in America have been abused, assaulted, and murdered by law enforcement, and more often than not, police are defenders of property rather than protectors of minority rights and safety, and to that end, we yield our advocacy platform to our siblings of color. On a personal note, I am very proud of this organization and this community. From feeding over 12,000 Rhode Islanders from March through May with the Pride Emergency Food and Supply Drive, to the patience shown around the uncharted territory of having a virtual Pride Month, we've proven that no obstacle is too great for the LGBTQIA+ community of Rhode Island. We have shown time and time again that when we rise to the challenge, and we will continue to advocate for the world that is inclusive and loving. So let's show the world what together really means. Let's prove that no matter what, we can still bond over a common identity, carry the movement, and continue our pursuit of full equality together. And remember, don't hide your pride.
Should introduce myself.
Elijah.
All right. Well, I, in addition to being your wonderful MC for tonight, I was asked to prepare a vocal piece that encompasses pride and means something to myself. And I believe it's a song that has been kind of an anthem for pride. So, you don't mind, conductor? Oh, thank you. I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken hearts. I've learned to be ashamed of my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are, but I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna stand for light, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look how quick here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me, Another round of bullets hits my skin. We'll fire away, 'cause today I won't let this shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. Yeah, that's who we become. I won't let them break me down. I know that there's a place for us. We're glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna stand up for light, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared. There's no choice. For your glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, gonna set the flood, gonna drown him out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. I don't need music. Oh, 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 this is me. Oh, and I know that I deserve your love. There's nothing I'm not worthy of. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna set a flood, gonna drown him out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Let go, 'cause here I come. Marching on, marching, marching on. Oh, this is me. And I think that's pretty good for music cutting out. And thank you for your support. So moving on.
That was awesome.
Thank you. The show goes on just like Pride goes on. So, we have a video presentation from Barrington that is really beautiful. We should tell you that this is the first year Barrington is participating in the flag raising ceremony and also passed a resolution to honor June as Pride Month. But Barrington wasn't happy ending it there. Their school district went a step further, and the school committee passed an unprecedented resolution to honor June as Pride Month. So all 6 schools in Barrington are flying the Pride flag. This is the first time in Rhode Island history a school district has taken this action. Way to set the example, Barrington.
Just give me 1 second here.
Yeah.
Another video's coming. Which one? There it is. Share.
And
You see it on the screen?
it's coming. Yeah. There we go.
Thanks to the work you guys are doing, we're going to see what this town really feels, because it's going to really make a difference. People are going to understand something different than they ever did.
My name is Sarah, and this is my daughter and my son Dante walking around here. And we're a rainbow family living in Barrington. We moved here 2 years ago, and when we first moved here, we looked around, we didn't see anyone like us, and that made us uncomfortable. We thought that maybe people didn't like us, didn't like our family.
I saw a bunch of squirrels jumping in that tree.
I see that.
Oh, one's running away. And another one.
There's so many squirrels over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that upset us was that, according to Rhode Island's parentage laws, which are, outdated by 40 years, I have to adopt my own. I have to go through an invasive and expensive adoption process to become Isra's legal parent in Rhode Island. While in other states, it's just a paper exercise. So I really hope that this is going to change soon. I'm grateful to our House representatives, Carol McEntee, and my own representative here in Barrington, Jason Knight, who are fighting to get this law changed and to pass the Rhode Island Uniform Parentage Act. I'm grateful for this year on, the Barrington Public School District are flying rainbow flags every June at their schools. That means a lot to us, makes us visible. And I'm grateful that the town hall is flying the flag as well. I learned to be a mother from the house and ballroom community in New York City. So I learned to be a mother from a Black trans woman. And I want to cite my friend Gia. She once told me, sometimes doctrines change, and then belief systems change. And when they do, people get the right they deserve. No lives matters until Black lives matters. Thank you.
All right. So, hi, I'm Ben Felag. I'm the incumbent reigning Mixed Trans Rhode Island 2019 through Rhode Island Pride, and I'm a real life transgender person living in Barrington. Excuse me if I'm looking down. I have a couple notes down here. So, given the current climate, I thought that I would mention that the reason we have Pride today is because of the brave Black women who fought against police brutality at Stonewall in 1969. So Miss Major, Stormy DeLavari, and Marsha P. Johnson were all key players in the Stonewall riots and a huge part of why we have Pride. The 60s seem like a long time ago, but Miss Major is only 79. Pride for me means celebrating, but not in the way that a lot of people see celebration. Pride is waking up every day and deciding to live life on your terms. Pride is having the courage to look inside yourself and say, this is me. Last November, I went to the Barrington High School to chat with the GSA, and I was pleasantly surprised to see so many students are involved in the GSA, and also that the high school has so many students who are out and proud. I only graduated from Barrington High School in 2013, and I can only recall a handful of gay students, and I don't think there was a single transgender student my entire time there. So unfortunately, that does mean that I went through high school thinking I was straight and cisgender. And for the folks at home, cisgender, or cis, spelled C-I-S, just means that you aren't trans. It's not a bad word, just like how straight isn't a bad word. So one reason I was so excited to be asked to do this speech today is because I'm glad that I have a chance to speak to the youth. And I wish that we could all be at town hall together, having a ceremony in person. But, you know, for now, coming at you from your computer, your phone screen is good enough for me. With my title, I've tried to help queer youth to feel accepted and loved. I spoke at Sutton High School, East Providence High School, and as I stated, Barrington High School. And as a teenager, if I had had the chance to talk to a real life transgender person and they could look me in the eyes and tell me it gets better, it would have saved me a lot of heartache from the years I spent trying to figure out who I was. I don't regret the hardships that I've been through. And I can't even think about how different my life would have been if I hadn't struggled. But having someone to look up to, a real, normal, everyday person, would have made a world of difference. And I hope that I can be that difference right now for teenagers who are struggling, whether they're questioning their gender or their sexuality. Discovering that I was gay and trans was really hard, and it was years in making, and it's going to be hard for you too. But when you decide that today is the day that you are going to start living your truth, that will be the first day of the rest of your life.
Action.
I'm sure that every young person is used to feeling dismissed in some form or another. As someone who's 18 but has been politically minded for a couple of years now, I got used to that feeling and the feeling of inadequacy that came with it. I would ask myself, can the world really be changed? And even then, am I the sort of person who can change it? These are dangerous notions because they stop us from achieving anything. Right now, there are so many brilliant teenage minds who are trying to fight for a better world. The founders of Generation Z, We Want to Live, are a great example. They are a group of teenage girls who have been organizing so many of the Black Lives Matter protests that have occurred in Providence over these past few weeks. The moment we stop thinking that we are incapable is the moment we begin forward motion.
Action, Sophia.
We are the heirs of a world that has fought tooth and nail so that we can live our lives as we intend, love who we love, and celebrate the beautiful diversity that is humanity. But pride is more than just a party. Pride is a reminder of all of the generations of people before us who gave their time, voices, safety, and sometimes their lives to combat prejudice. To all of the young people out there, I am so proud and amazed by what we've managed to accomplish in our, let's be honest, relatively short time so far. The world is changing as we speak, and that means that now, more than ever, we need to use our actions and our voices. We need to use all of the energy and empathy our generation to keep those tides of change moving. The time to act isn't tomorrow or later. It's today. It's right now.
Rolling. Action.
Selections from the resolution of the Barrington School Committee recognizing the month of June as Barrington Pride Month. Whereas in June of 1969, the Stonewall Uprising sparked the gay liberation movement in the United States and worldwide, and has since served as the anchor for recognizing internationally the month of June as Pride Month. And whereas in 2017, both chambers of the Rhode Island General Assembly unanimously passed a bill banning conversion therapy on minors. And whereas the Rhode Island Parentage Act, which would provide a clear pathway to the protection of legal parentage for all children in Rhode Island, regardless of the way their families were formed, is once again awaiting a vote in the Rhode Island General Assembly. And whereas LGBTQIA plus youth are almost 5 times as likely to have attempted suicide compared to heterosexual youth, and 68% of LGBTQIA plus youth say they hear negative messages from elected leaders. And whereas students in supportive school climates or in schools with the Gay-Straight Alliance have fewer suicidal thoughts and attempts, are less likely to feel unsafe because of their sexual orientation, and feel greater belonging to their school community than those in less protective climates. And whereas in May 2017, the Barrington School Committee adopted a protocol and support plan for transgender, gender nonconforming, and transitioning students. And whereas the committee seeks to affirm that Barrington Public Schools should recognize, value, and maintain an inclusive environment for members of the LGBTQIA plus community, their families, and families of all compositions, and should cultivate the district's reputation as a welcoming and safe place for members of the LGBTQIA plus community and their families. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Barrington School Committee, officially designate and joyously celebrate the month of June annually as Barrington Pride Month, and will recognize such designation with the flying of a pride flag on each school's flagpole for the month of June. And be it further resolved that the Barrington School Committee encourages the entire community to continue to recognize and support activities that highlight the LGBTQIA plus community and the experiences of our LGBTQIA plus students, staff, and families.
So we're going to get married, and we decided we got married in 2008. And as soon as the law became legal, and I had always wanted to be married to him because I said I had all the rights as an American citizen when I was married to a woman. Why am I being denied those rights just because I love and going to be married to a man? So when they passed the law, we got married. And I thought, I thought it was going to be great. I'm going to introduce Peter to everybody as my husband and all of that. Well, I never stopped to think about the fact that we were going to need a wedding license. And we had to get the license in Barrington. So now I've lived here 30 some odd years at that point. They may all have known I was gay, but I never told them, right, in town hall or anything. So he went to get the license just because that's the way it was going to be. And then they said I had to come in and sign it too. Well, I pulled up in front of town hall. I got out of the car and I thought, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm walking into town hall to get my marriage license to marry my husband. What are they going to think? Now, I never had a thought like that. But there it was, that one moment that I hesitated 8 years ago, 12, whatever, how many years ago it was. And I had never given it a thought. So I walked in, I took a deep breath, and they said to me, and everybody knows me. It's just the way it is. And they said, Arthur, what are you doing here? I said, I can't get my wedding license. They said, you did? And I said, yeah, I'm marrying Peter Niver. I took a deep breath and said, I'm marrying Peter Niver. You should have seen the reception. The 4 women jumped up from their desks. Everybody came over to the counter. Everybody gave me a kiss. Wasn't that wonderful? They thought it was absolutely fabulous. That was a big moment.
Yeah.
That probably was the biggest moment of coming out in the 30 some odd years. And I don't know why, but it was mostly pride. Like it was more like I used to get choked up thinking about it.
Yeah.
We've come a long way.
Flags are layered with symbolism. They symbolize a community's connection to a place. They also carry messages important to and from that community. The Council's resolution to establish June as Barrington Pride Month and fly the Pride flag at Town Hall is about embracing diversity, about weaving our community more tightly together, strengthening the fabric of our town. It is our hope that members of the LGBTQIA+ community in our town thrive. The brilliant colors of the Pride flag represent diversity and love. They symbolize how community bonds can brighten our horizon. This is something that is needed so much right now, possibly more than ever before.
I grew up with it gets better, but can't ignore the genetic fear, deemed a sickness of the brain. Cure was to keep myself contained. Summer riots in '69, they stood for change and fought for life. How could I drown out all their cries? For the reason I have pride, hail the angels above the grid. They're the angels above the grid. They are the angels above the grid. I'm saying, baby, it's eternally. Now I've been taught to fear my body. I'm reminded every day. All this guilt and shame I swallow just to drown out my vibrato. Bodies are lining all the streets. You cry for justice, cry for peace, yeah. And there's a new day, no need to hide. Trans POC, all the reason I have pride. And they're the angels above the grid. And they are the angels above the grid. And they are the angels above the grid. I'm saying, baby, it's that time to live. Dropped and see where would we be? Dropped and see where would we? Dropped and see where would we be? Dropped and see where would we? Dropped and see where would we be? There are bodies in the streets. Drop and see where would we be? And they're the angels above the grid. And they're the angels above the grid. And they are the angels above the grid. And life is the prize, baby. It's their turn to live.
That was amazing, Barrington. So next up we have Central Falls, and they're joining us again this year. We are very proud to consider them a regular partner in all these Pride events.
All right, Gavin. Add some more fluff for that.
You use keyboard.
Tell them it's going to be just 1 minute.
Yeah, we're just working with some technical stuff right now for that video to be up. I personally don't need to say anything because this video is ready to go now. Oh, no, it's good.
What?
It's good. Just get me off screen. Oh, it's not good anymore.
Oh.
Sorry about that. That was not our intended video to be playing at all. You just give us one moment. We're working on things. I will personally say that Central Falls does hold a place in my heart. I taught after school theater there for a year and a half-ish, teaching after school during their summer program. I have wonderful students down over there of various ages, and I know I am proud of them for making the strides that they are taking to be inclusive as they can down there. And I know my students themselves are learning and educating themselves on the LGBTQI plus community. So, without further ado,
thank you very much for the opportunity to be with all of you today. I think today represents an important reason why we do these types of events every single day, because we want to tell not only our residents of Central Falls, but the state and the country that this is a community that values inclusivity, and raising the pride flag once again after many years of continuous raising of the flag with so many community partners and friends in the community that value these types of events for just that, because they want to be part of the community. They are part of the community. They make important contributions to the community investments, and that's why we are so happy to say that the pride flag will be raised here at City Hall. Obviously, we honor Pride Month in Central Falls, and it's important to note the reason why this all happened back in New York City in 1969 with the Stonewall riots, which created a pivotal point in history of the modern LGBTQIA plus movement, and that's also been led by Black trans women. I've been a strong advocate for the rights of this community, being part of the Mayor's for Equality. A few years ago, I took a bold stand in saying that our brothers and sisters in our community need the same rights, equal rights for all. So I'm proud that we're celebrating once again in my last year as mayor, Pride Month in the city of Central Falls. So I'd like to turn it over now to Joshua to say a few words. Representative John.
Thank you for having me today. I cannot explain how proud I am of our community as we raise the pride flag for the 7th year in a row. I'm honored to represent a community that is known for accepting people from all over the world, all walks of life, all faiths and religions, and all sexual orientations and gender identities. It makes us who we are. I stand with the LGBTQIA plus community today, along with my friends here, to ensure that we all remember and understand the past and present fights for equality that are happening today. So thank you all for inviting me, and know that I stand with you in firm support of the issues locally, statewide, and nationally. Thank you. And I pass it over to our Parks and Rec coordinator, Catherine Hidalgo.
Good afternoon. My name is Catherine Hidalgo, pronouns she, her, hers, and I am a queer Latinx woman who proudly came out about 3 years ago. I am the current Parks and Recreation coordinator for the City of Central Falls. It is an honor to be here with my fellow city officials. I want to acknowledge the land that we are currently on that belong to the Nipmuc, Wampanoag, and Narragansett natives. I want to recognize our two-spirited Indigenous folks as well. I also want to take the time to acknowledge and remember the lives of the Black trans folks we have lost to violence this year and those lost in the past. My message today is that of hope and love. As a member of the Central Falls community, I stand in solidarity with my fellow LGBTQIA+ community. There are times we face many levels of oppression, whether it be because of the color of our skin, our sexual orientation. Let me remind you all that the sex of a person is the anatomy of the physical being, and gender is how one chooses to identify. The two are separate things. All I know through experience is that love is love, and the anatomy of a person does not play a part in who I choose to love. The soul of a person is what makes them beautiful and attractive. Know that you are worthy and loved no matter what. Do not let the misunderstandings of others, even family members, get you down. Trust the process of the journey and embrace all of yourself. I have a poem I would like to share that I wrote about a year ago. Thank you, God, Creator Universe, for keeping me, for showing me and teaching me valuable lessons about people, self, humanity. As I sit and reflect about my time reflecting, call it time alone, devotionals with the Lord Jesus, a space and time, younger me completely devout, I owe who I have become to this moment that showed me how to continuously look inward so that I could bring the best of myself outward. To now realizing that this world is fascinating, multidimensional, different dimensions that we can tap into if we trust ourselves and not limit where we can go. Mind, body, soul expanding. Love, pain, healing, love. Journey not linear, experiences with lessons to help us grow. Dreams become reality, our reality becomes the dreams we have. Love is broader than most can see. Gender fluid, loving males and females. Being comfortable with self. Self-love important. Living unapologetically because in the end only I can truly judge me. Words, actions of others affect us to the extent that we let it. Learning that we can't take things so personal. Everyone is on their journey toward healing. Every person is just a reflection of you at different points in time. Love unconditionally. Let people be. If we can all do this, everyone can feel this eternal free. Thank you, Rhode Island Pride, the City of Central Falls, and other cities throughout the state of Rhode Island for standing with the LGBTQ+ community.
Hi everyone, happy Pride 2020. I want you all to know that I stand with my beautiful and diverse LGBTQ plus community, not just during Pride Month, but all the time. Unfortunately, we're not able to celebrate the way we usually celebrate, but next year, hopefully, the celebration will be bigger and better. Happy Pride 2020.
My name is Jessica Vega, and I'm a city councilwoman for Ward 5 in Central Falls. And Lola and I want to wish everyone from the LGBTQ and Q community a very happy Pride Month. Unfortunately, we can't be together this year, but that doesn't mean we can't celebrate love. And in Central Falls, we celebrate you. Happy Pride 2020.
Hello, my name is Angelo Garcia. I'm the founder and executive director of the Segway Institute for Learning here in Central Falls. I'm also a lifelong resident of this wonderful community. I can't tell you how excited and proud I am that the city is recognizing June as Pride Month here in our city. I know that many of our students struggle with how they identify and also how they are judged by others. It's really important that we as a community embrace all of our youth and make sure that they feel safe and know that they're part of a larger community. Thanks to all of you for your support and making sure that people feel safe in Central Falls. Have a great Pride Month, everyone.
Hi, I'm Ava. I'm a fifth grader from Segway Institute for Learning, and I believe that everybody should be treated equally.
Happy Pride Month, City of Central Falls.
My name is Shavi, and I go to Veterans Memorial Elementary School, and I think everyone should be treated the same way.
Miss Cooley, I'm here from Segway Institute for Learning.
Hi, I'm Miss Conti. I'm from Segway Institute for Learning.
And we're here to support the flag raising of the LGBTQ in Central Falls.
Yay, we're so happy.
Happy Pride Month, City of Central Falls.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn. I am an 8th grader at the Segway Institute for Learning, and I think that everybody should be treated with respect and dignity.
Feliz Mes del Orgullo Gay.
Happy Pride!
Happy Pride Month from the City of Central Falls.
Oh, I am so happy to see some of those beautiful faces. Next up, we have a video presentation from Newport. Newport also hosts its own annual Pride Fest each year. It is absolutely spectacular. If you haven't been able to get down there, please do. Nothing says Pride like some summertime fun down at the beach, you know? So that will be up very shortly. If I speak slow enough, maybe it'll just happen.
Hold on.
It looks good on my end.
Yeah, but I didn't have the audio.
All right, well, we'll just take a moment.
Do you have audio?
No.
Can you just talk?
Yeah. So while we take a moment to make sure that we have Newport's video all set and ready for y'all to go, I will entertain you with my voice, not singing anymore because clearly, technically, I can't do that right now. But by speaking. I am here and I'm really excited to be here. I didn't expect to be an MC for Rhode Island Pride, and when I was given the opportunity to do this, it was a daunting task to be given because Rhode Island Pride is so well known. I got involved with Rhode Island Pride actually through what project that Ray had mentioned earlier, which was our food drive. The food drive, we were able to fulfill so many requests for food, over 12,000 people, and to me being able to be a part of that and help run that program just kicked a part off for my life that I never thought that I would see myself going into. I've always been a performer and an actor, and to be able to now step into a role to help people in this way is absolutely phenomenal. And to be able to do with Rhode Island Pride was just beautiful. And now I'm completely immersed in Pride. So I will be working with Pride now to bring together a march that we're doing on Saturday, June 20th. This march is our Rebellion and Resistance March to help include trans people of color as well as just queer people of color in the movement going on right now. We will be starting at 4:30 at Cathedral Square and having a small rally there, then marching the original 76er route, or as much of it as that we can, and then we'll be marching to the State House. Once we're at the State House, we are going to be putting on various forms of speech, whether that be dance, song, speech, poetry, spoken word. There are going to be a lot of different voices of all various backgrounds, and I am so lucky to help bring that to life. Is there anything else?
Keep going.
Okay. I urge you to look at the Rhode Island Pride Facebook page to find this event. Please say that you're going to this event, and please share this event. Facebook is having this thing right now where you're only allowed to invite a certain amount of people to your event. So a single person can only reach so far, but with each person that we invite, you can then go ahead and invite more people and spread the word. Post the graphics on your stories on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, Tumblr if you still use that, Yahoo questions. And we might have a video now. Nope, just kidding. And tell your friends through email, text, messenger, pigeon, snail mail. I want to see so many different people of all races, of all identities, join together to celebrate, but also to honor Pride and the current movement going on.
We're ready.
And now we are ready, I'm hearing. So enjoy this video from Newport.
I'm Mayor Jamie Bova of Newport, and I am here to help celebrate Pride Month. Happy Pride Month, everyone. I just want to show the flag that we have hanging at City Hall, which is the rainbow flag, but it also has the black and brown stripes, symbolizing the importance of black and brown people in the LGBTQ community and highlighting both their importance in the movement and all the work they've done to help the LGBTQ movement go forward, but also the fact that Black and brown LGBT people are much more likely to be victims of violence as well. And we need to spotlight that while we're also celebrating Pride. We need to remember that Pride started as a riot and started as a push for rights, and that we need to keep that push going at the same time that we're celebrating all of the beauty that is in our LGBTQ community.
Hi, my name's Rex, and I wear a lot of hats. I'm the Grand of Interweave at Channing Memorial Church, which is Channing Church's group for LGBTQ plus people and allies. I also work for the Newport Health Equity Zone, which has a working group focused on LGBTQ plus health, where we're trying to make some healthcare changes here in Newport. And today, I think I'm just coming to you as a queer person living in Newport. And I know that Jamie and Dawn have said a lot about the pride flag that we've got flying at City Hall. And that flag is important. It shows visibility. It shows that the city somewhat cares about queer people, maybe even queer people of color, somewhat. But I'm not at the flag right now. I'm not at City Hall. I'm in a different part of Newport. I'm in the north end of Newport, which is a representation of just how segregated Newport is. The north end has the most people of color, the most low-income folks, the most Latinx folks that live here in Newport. And I'm in this place called the Bike Barn. This is the Big Blue Bike Barn. It's run by Bike Newport, which is a very queer-friendly organization. And on this thing, they painted this mural, this mural here, and they added the trans symbol to it. And you know, that flag up at City Hall, that's only going to be up for a month. But this thing, this is here every day of the year, and people of all ages, all races, all gender identities, all sexual orientations come by this street and they see that. Maybe some people don't know what it means, but for the people that do know what it means, it's a real sign of change that this can actually be up as a beautiful work of art, as a queer representation, that queerness is beautiful. And I'm not sure they knew what the butterfly meant. I think that might have been just a happy accident, but what's more trans affirming than a butterfly? Yeah. So that's why I'm here. It's just to remind you that visibility matters all throughout the year. Art matters. And let's try to do better. Let's try to have this world be a place where anyone of any race, of any gender, of any sexual orientation can be visible, beautiful, and appreciated. So I think right now, a lot of the disparities that we see are because that's not the case. Plenty of queer people are being left behind, queer people of color, trans people. We have a lot of work to do. And a lot of the shit that's gone down this month kind of proves it. So while you're out there on your Black Lives Matter rallies, because those are really important to focus on right now, let's face it, what better way to celebrate Pride than uprisings against the police? I mean, that's what Stonewall was all about. And let's continue this movement. And while you're at those Black Lives Matter rallies, remember Breonna Taylor. Remember Tony McDade. And remember George Floyd, of course, but he's getting a lot of the attention right now, and we're losing women, we're losing trans men who were also murdered by police very recently. So while we celebrate, while we come together for Black Lives Matter, let's remember that all Black Lives matter, and that includes women, trans people, queer people. Let's try to do better and make this world a better place and be visible and put that visibility out there for the whole world to see. That way, love can just be seen. Let's not hide that love. Let's show it, and let's make it into a beautiful, wonderful, queer thing. With that, happy Pride.
Hi everyone, Danny and Shan here from Newport out. We're one of the organizers of the Newport Pride, and today we are at Maya Antonomy Park. It's a beautiful day, and we are happy to be celebrating Pride Month in Rhode Island, and as well as being part of the Rhode Island Pride flag celebration across the state.
So we're not able to do as much this year in person. So we want to share this clip with you from a drag cruise we did last September here in Newport. And we look forward to doing more of these just as soon as we can and as soon as it's safe to do so. So check it out. And of course, we know the fight for LGBTQ plus equality, dignity, and freedom is intersectional. And so we want to share with you a couple clips from yesterday's youth-led Black Lives Matter and human rights protest and march that happened here in Newport. And it was organized by two amazing young women, sisters who are from Newport here. And then after, we'll share a clip with you and a message from our state senator, Don Oyer, who was at the march with us yesterday.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice!
Happy Pride, Rhode Island. Happy Pride, Newport. I'm so excited to celebrate the flag raising, the Pride flag raising at City Hall and across the country. I think that we're facing a lot of challenging times right now in our country, and I'm very proud to be part of the Newport and the Rhode Island community who've consistently and steadily fought for equal rights for all people. And I'm glad that Rhode Island has some of the strongest anti-discrimination protections in the country. And we need to continue to do more. We need to continue to love each other in our community, to recognize everybody for their individuality and share the love that we have for another, because hate does not drive out hate. Darkness does not drive out darkness. Only love can do that. And I look forward to continuing to work as we bend this arc towards justice.
And we want to give Dawn a shout. She was working 7 years ago hard to pass marriage equality here in the state of Rhode Island 2 years before the Supreme Court passed it in all the states. So thank you, Dawn, for your continued work for our community. And remember that the declaration for candidacy in Rhode Island for public office this year is coming up in just a week. And we need more LGBTQ leaders showing up in all levels of government. So please consider running.
We also want to shout out our dear friend in Newport's first out LGBT woman of color and city council, Angela McCalla. Thanks for all the work you do in our community. And we're still celebrating Pride in Newport, so please go to our website, newportout.com/Newport Pride, and check out all the events we have coming up, including a bike ride and a virtual party celebration. So hope to see you there.
Pride at Newport looks so much fun. I can't wait for next year to be down there celebrating with all of you guys.
Are they ready in Newport to go?
Well, okay, then I wasn't speaking or anything. So yeah, Newport looks absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to celebrate down there. Once everything reopens back up. Am I okay to continue on?
Yeah, I think so.
Great. So now we start our live stream portion of tonight's presentation. For the folks watching at home, bear with us. There are so many moving parts to get to this. If we get jumbled up, just laugh along with all of us. I have been. So, turn this into a little game, we mess up, take a shot. If you don't drink, spin around until you get really dizzy. Woonsocket is up next, and this is the first year Woonsocket is participating in the flag ceremony. So kudos to Woonsocket City Council for passing a resolution to honor June as Pride Month by a 7-0 vote. So
Ken just texted and said stand by.
You're okay.
We're actually live.
We're live in Woonsocket right now. Hello, folks.
So we're live.
Okay. No, there's fine. All right. So good afternoon, everyone. To those present here and those watching the live stream at home. My name is Alex Kippis. I am a lifelong resident of Woonsocket and a Woonsocket City Councilor. I am so happy to have worked closely with Rhode Island Pride to officially establish Woonsocket Pride Month for the first time, an annual celebration and commemoration of the LGBTQIA+ community here in our city, marked with a pride flag raising ceremony every year. And that this year, we have the additional honor of having the opportunity to celebrate as part of this statewide flag raising ceremony. This move is especially meaningful to me because I came out as bisexual this past New Year's Eve at the still young age of 27. It was a huge, difficult, nerve-wracking, and very emotional step for me to take, especially as a sitting elected official. I grew up hearing stories of my friends and fellow members of the LGBTQIA+ community getting harassed in public. I grew up witnessing bureaucrats and government officials denying very basic rights to our community, and watching as it took until August of 2013 for our supposedly liberal, very deep blue state of Rhode Island to pass marriage equality. I grew up being told to my face and behind my back that my own self-worth as a man was dependent exclusively on me being straight. I grew up hearing all of this and stepping deeper into the closet every day. And as expected, my coming out hasn't been met just with positivity. I've been harassed on social media by a well-known public figure and employee of our local radio station, WNRI. I've had faggot yelled out the window of a moving car quite a few times, including most recently just the other day while walking through a park with my boyfriend. Two members of my city council, in the very meeting where we passed this resolution that created this celebration, dismissed the overwhelming public support for the establishment of Pride, and one went so far as to dismiss the very need for this tradition in the belief that homophobia has never existed. And that same city council member is partially responsible for the embarrassing and egregious decision to move our pride flag from the real flagpole where we originally raised it to the much less prominent location that you may not even see behind me. But honestly, Once I finally built up the courage to come out publicly, just over 5 months ago, people were overwhelmingly supportive, from friends and family to members of the community that I'd never met before. I haven't lost any friendships since coming out, and a lot have actually strengthened. And the question is, why is that? How have we come so far as a community and as a country? The month of June is recognized as Pride Month, as I'm sure most of you know, because in June of 1969, the Stonewall riots in New York City sparked the beginning of the gay liberation movement in our country. I owe my right to love who I love and be who I am. Our community today owes the progress that has been made towards equal rights and societal acceptance and affirmation to the many generations of activists, protesters, and leaders, some elected, but most doing their work outside the government, who came before us. To those, many of them queer women of color, who originally protested for liberation and justice long before I was born. So I originally submitted a resolution that would create Woonsocket Pride. A week before George Floyd, an innocent black man was brutally murdered by a Minneapolis police officer, while other officers stood by and prevented onlookers from saving him. Our country has changed a lot in the 3 weeks since. Our neighbors of color are protesting for their lives against a history of police brutality and racism. And so the celebration of Pride has begun to take on a new meaning as a statement of our community standing in solidarity with Black Lives Matter, with those who are protesting and advocating against systemic oppression and for serious changes to our criminal justice and policing systems. And it's time we listen. So with that, I have the great honor of introducing my close friend and my state senator, Melissa Murray.
Not quite as tall as Alex. Thank you all for joining us. So last year, State Representative Teresa Tansey and I rallied the largest contingency of General Assembly members to ever walk in the Rhode Island Pride Parade. My intention this year was to make that contingency even larger, and while I'm really sad that I'm not going to get to help make that happen, I do want to celebrate the fact that here in Woonsocket, finally, in 2020, we officially raised a pride flag for the very first time. And I want to thank Rhode Island Pride, Councilman Kippis, and the other city elected officials that made this happen. I cannot fully articulate what that flag raising ceremony meant to me. I was born and raised here in Woonsocket. I went to school here. Back in my late teens, early 20s, young, scared, and firmly in the closet, I could have never have imagined that day. I've been out most of my adult life now, but even when I decided to run for office in 2013, I was initially hesitant to be open about my sexual orientation. I had just moved back from a 14-year hiatus with my then partner. I wondered, did we have a place here? If we would be welcomed? I remember the very moment, very early on in my campaign, when I decided to openly be my true authentic self and let the chips fall where they may. I went on to become the first openly LGBT plus person to ever be elected to office in the city of Woonsocket, something of which I am immensely proud. But I'll be honest, some of the experiences I've had here in the city have not been very welcoming, and some even downright scary. And I'm not talking back in my closeted days. I'm talking about recently, and I know that I'm not alone. That's why the raising of the pride flag, to show our LGBT plus community that we acknowledge them, that we support them, and that they are welcome here in Woonsocket, was so important. I struggled as to whether or how to address the moving of the flag from its original location. I received a lot of correspondence about this issue, and I have made my own opinions very well known. But I think the general disappointment from the community can best be expressed not in my own words, but in the words of the many that reached out to me. And I want you to know that I use their words with their permission. My uncle is buried in Woonsocket. He was a talented artist. Woonsocket was also the place where he was beaten and bullied for being gay. He dropped out of the Woonsocket High School and found his people in Boston. I always think, what if he was able to be out during the 70s in Woonsocket? Would he have left? As a person who works with teens, I see how much representation matters at By taking down that flag, a young person just saw that Woonsocket does not care. Another wrote, my boyfriend and I came down yesterday to see the pride flag in Woonsocket. This was something I never thought would happen. I read it on Facebook, and at my first free moment came down to see this for myself. I was shocked to see the flag hanging from the gazebo and had to check that post again. It wasn't until this morning when I realized what had happened. Growing up in Woonsocket all of my life and being gay was something I hid about myself. It wasn't until I was in college when I felt safe to come out. All through high school, I would hear people say things like, that's gay, or people would be all like, fag. People who I highly respected or cared used such hate I had to cut them out of my life. Having to hide who I was led to a lot of hardships in my life, physically and mentally. There were days when I did not think there would be another tomorrow. I want to see this flag back up where it belongs for the rest of the month. And if anyone can get this done, I know it will be you and the other allies of the LGBTQIA community. Those are the voices and the words of the community. The voices of those who felt that they had no voice here in this city. And we need to make sure that we are listening and that those voices are heard. June, Pride Month, is normally a joyously celebrated time for many. And this year it takes a much more somber tone, not just because we are in the midst of a global pandemic, but because of recent events throughout our state and across our country. We are reminded, and it is vital to remember, how Pride Month came to be by a series of uprisings led by queer and trans people of color. As we stand here under a pride flag put up in Woonsocket for the very first time, we cannot talk about equality for LGBT plus people without talking about equality and justice for all marginalized people, especially our Black and brown neighbors, because our struggles are intertwined. We cannot fight for equality and justice for LGBT plus people without also fighting for racial justice, economic justice, and equity for all. And so as we fly these flags across the state today with love, in solidarity, and with pride, these flags demonstrate to our LGBT plus folks and our entire community and our entire state that we care, that we acknowledge just not their presence, but also their continuing struggles.
Please stand by for technical difficulties. We'll be with you shortly.
Okay. Well, I will entertain you with some, remind you of some information about the Resistance and Resilience rally on Saturday. To remind you, the Resistance and Resilience rally is on Saturday night, starting at 4:30, and will start at Cathedral Square, march to the 6th room as best as you can, down to the State House, and have a small rally there as well, with or rather large rally there with a small rally at the Cathedral Square, and then have different performances. So I'm going to send it back over to Woonsocket to Miss Chloe Savage. Thank you so much, Woonsocket, and thank you to our speakers and our performers. So next up, we have East Providence. And again, East Providence has been a partner in these events for many years, and we're excited to include them again this year. So how you doing, East Providence? You guys all good over there? Can I get a thumbs up, a wave, a hello? East Providence.
Hello, and welcome to the 4th annual Pride flag raising. Hello, and welcome to the 4th annual Pride flag at Eaton's Hall. Right, there you go. Rhode Island Pride's theme for 2020 is Don't Hide Your Pride, and East Providence is living those words today. The act of raising a flag has the power to provide a beacon of hope for all of the LGBTQIA+ family. To know we are not only alone, we are not alone, we are visible, and we are represented. In these uncertain times, we hope all those who see this flag above City Hall will be filled with pride for themselves, for their community, and Rhode Island Pride has taken a very firm stance that we are here to amplify the voices of our Black and trans siblings, and we will continue to rally against injustice, so stay tuned. On behalf of the Rhode Island Pride Board of Directors and everyone identified with the colors flying here today, in particular, people of color, represented by the top 2 black and brown stripes of the flag, thank you to the City of East Providence, its council members, and its mayor for making sure we are not only welcome, but we are valued. We're not only welcomed, but we are valued. And now I would like to introduce Mayor De Silva.
Thank you, Paul. I want to thank the Rhode Island Pride organization for putting this event on and organizing what we have going on here today. I also want to recognize some people in the audience here today. We have our Council President, Mr. Robert Brittle, our Police Chief, Bill Nevis, and our Deputy Police Chief, Chris Francisconi. Also, we have our Director of Administration, Napoleon Gonzalez, who are all here supporting us, as well as a wonderful group of people, a lot of city employees in the mix. Very proud to see everybody out here today. Last year marked the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising in Manhattan, which became the core of the gay liberation movement and soon morphed into the Gay Pride Day. A proud person, a young proud person, once shared some very powerful words with me and others. And those words ring true even more today. That person said, Pride Month is a time to celebrate differences and to celebrate people who have been suppressed for much of American history, simply for being themselves. Think about that for a moment. Being suppressed for being themselves. Here today and every day, I'm here to remind our community that we are all equal. Whether we are straight or gay, white or black, we consider everybody equal. While we are here to remember those in the LGBTQ community who have been lost to hate crimes, we also are here to celebrate. This month, we celebrate the steps that we've taken as a community, as a nation, moving the conversation forward. But what's amazing, what's really, truly amazing, is that as recently as today, the United States Supreme Court made a ruling that protected the LGBTQ community from being persecuted in their workplace because of their beliefs and because of who they are. Even today, we're having rulings that protect people because of who they are. It's incredible that we're still dealing with this today, but it's good that the U.S. Supreme Court made that decision. Today and every day, we are here to celebrate the positive impact that the LGBTQ community has had both here in our city, in our state, and in our nation. As we raise the Pride flag today, we remember what it stands for: an international cooperative movement represented by each of the flag's stripes. Red represents life. Orange represents healing. Yellow, sunlight. Green, nature. Blue, harmony. And purple, spirit. Brown and black, as mentioned by Paul, have been added to represent people of color who also have fought very hard to be recognized as equal. And now I want to recognize and introduce to you the person who will be raising our flag today. His name is Kevin Lewis. Kevin works here in our city, in the city clerk's office, and he's here accompanied today with his partner, Bob Searoyce. Now, interestingly enough, Kevin met Bob 2 years ago today at a Pride event. And as the story is told, he ran into thousands of people who were in attendance and ran into him 3 different times. And he said, something's going on here. This is a true connection. Out of the thousands of people that I see, I run into this guy 3 different times. But I just found out that Bob had his eye on Kevin and was following him around. Now we know what really happened. But listen, I want to introduce Kevin and Bob to the flag. Let's raise the flag together.
I don't want to be.
Perfect. Thank you, Kevin. Bob, great job. And I understand that there may be a big announcement coming up soon, but I don't want to blow anything off the. Well, hopefully that all goes well. I want to introduce to you a person who is very supportive of the LGBTQ community here in East Providence, and a true supporter of equality for all. Our council president, Mr. Bob Rhode, will say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for being here this afternoon. It gives me a great pleasure to come out here and speak on behalf of the Pride flag. Although we're here this afternoon for the Pride flag, we still have a long way to go. And I just want everybody to know that there's still a long way to go with this. It saddens me at times to see that, we are one of 9 municipalities in this state that represents the flag here being risen in the month of June in Pride. So there's 39 municipalities in the state of Rhode Island, and we're just one of 9. But I can also look at it as this is a starting point as well, that other communities can start to join in, and hopefully each year that at least, I would say that at least 2 communities join in to raise their flag and recognize Pride Day. This is something that's important to me because I know what it's like to be excluded. I've happened to be excluded in many cases, many circumstances being younger. So I know and I feel where you're coming from. But this is just one of many ways that we can stop the movement going forward. Again, I'll reiterate that we're only one of 9 communities in the state of Rhode Island that recognizes this, and we need to do a better job. It's nice that we're recognizing this on a regular basis and on an annual basis, but there's more to do. There's a lot more work that we need to do here. And with that being said, I'm just going to refer it back over to the mayor. Not much more that I have to say about this, but I want to thank you all for being here this evening. I want to thank you, Mayor, for recognizing this flag here. I hope that it stays up for the entire month of June, or for at least a month going forward. But we really need to take a good hard look, especially under the circumstances of what's going on in today's world, not only in the state, but not only in this country, but internationally, all the different events that are going on. Hopefully we need to make a change, and we need to get some voices to come out and speak on behalf of this as well. Thank you all.
Thank you, Council President Bob Rhode. I want to, once again, I think that concludes our flag raising. and it does make me proud that our community embraces all people, nationalities, creeds, backgrounds. It doesn't matter. We embrace everyone, and that's what makes these Providence special. I've said it numerous times here for all the different flag races that we have. We are an inclusive community. We welcome all people. We embrace all people, and it makes me proud that we have good employees and people in this community who come together to celebrate these causes. And this is, like Council President Burrow said, just the beginning, just the beginning. And I want to say, once again, to Paul and Pride, thank you so much for including this and organizing this event for us today. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, East Providence. So next up is Pawtucket. Just so all you know, the order of the cities and towns for this program was decided by the size of the population from smallest to largest. Every city and town was asked to keep their presentation to no more than 20 minutes.
I need Pawtucket to join that.
So we are going to take a moment and figure out some technical things while we're on our way to Pawtucket. We have some great folks still lined up to speak and make some remarks and performances for you all. I'm going to give another reminder of our resilience and what is it, rally? We have a rally on Saturday, just to remind you all, for POC Queer Lives, kind of to support the Black Lives Matter movement, and also have Pride become a support for those voices. So that will be at 4:30, starting at Cathedral Square, marching over to the State House. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have performers to help amplify the voices. And it's going to be a really beautiful event. So I would love to see everyone watching there, as well as if you can think of 10 people that are willing to come out and celebrate, bring your masks, bring your signs, and really try to embrace what is going on right now. It's a scary time for everyone. We are living in a civil rights movement and a pandemic at the same time. And I know that it's kind of difficult to take yourself out of pandemic mind. But to be able to attend a lot of these protests I've been able to attend have been so moving, and it's where we are right now is a moment that I think everyone will remember for the rest of their lives, and it is part of history. It is going to be something that people will learn someday, hopefully, along with more history that has yet to be taught right now in schools, which we all know there is so much education that has to be updated in the school system to be able to bring more history of Pride into schools, bring more Black history into Prides. Black history is more than just a month. We need to incorporate it into what is the curriculum right now in schools. So I think we're still waiting to hear from Pawtucket. And after Pawtucket, we will have a live stream from Warwick, and then Cranston, and then closing in Providence. Pawtucket. No. All right. So I'm going to give y'all like a moment right now to head over to our Facebook event and please share that event. Please get it out there. Invite people while you're there. I have reached my capacity on how many people I can invite to this event, and I am so excited for it. I have been excited for every single rally and protest I have attended, and I know this one will be just as magnificent as all the rest of them have been, and as the rest of them are yet to come. So please join us in making this effort be as like beautiful as it can be. This is going to be a visual, it is going to be a celebration, it is going to be a remembrance, and it is going to help push boundaries in the movement that we are trying to continue working towards. We recently just found out that our lovely president has taken away some of the rights to our trans folk, and we are really upset during this time. We did get a little win with the protecting of the LGBTQ folk for work in the Supreme Court, but our work is clearly not done, and we need to make bigger strides for our trans folk and our POC folk and the LGBTQI plus community, which is so much that we're working towards here at Rhode Island Pride. Anything from our folks at Pawtucket? All right. Awesome. And
Okay, I'm
hello,
not trying.
Pawtucket. Hello.
Hello.
I am.
So
I
I'm trying to use the
was
other
not
camera.
aware. What?
I'm trying to use the other camera, like to flip it.
There should be a little symbol, no?
Great.
Down here.
Great.
Just use the camera that's working, love.
Yeah, just flip it around and use the front-facing camera. There you go. Just get nice and
Hello,
close.
welcome to the Pawtucket Pride flag raising ceremony. My name is Ashley Cabrita, and I'm a board member for Rhode Island Pride.
Can you move
I want to
closer?
thank everyone for being here and tuning in. It has been an eye-opening few weeks of learning, growing, and listening. Raising this flag today, we are honoring our LGBTQIA+ community, especially people of color, represented at the top of the flag with the black and brown stripes. Together as a community, we must fight systematic racial injustice. This year's theme for Rhode Island Pride is Don't Hide Your Pride. Let's stand strong, stand united, and rise up against unfair treatment and discrimination for our Black. We must fight for our equality. I may be seated, but I am taking a stand with the LGBTQIA+ community. Thank you again, and I'd like to introduce Mayor John Grebian.
Well, thank you, Ashley, and good afternoon to everybody. And I love the virtual stuff because I'm learning it as I get older. This is a very special occasion. As the mayor of the city of Pawtucket, it is an honor to be here to recognize Pride Month with the Pride flag raising ceremony here today, the way we're doing this. I want to recognize all of the other communities throughout the state who are participating in this and how important it is that we stick together and band together. I also want to recognize and thank Rhode Island Pride, the largest, most comprehensive LGBTQ+ community, nonprofit serving our surrounding neighborhoods. This is true in our hearts throughout our country. The politician in me wants to specifically thank President Rhode, Sarasha, Vice President Joe Lazzarini, and Vice President Ken Barber for all that you do and have gone above and beyond to make this work and make sure that we are recognizing our communities throughout the city and also the state. On behalf of the city, my administration, the Pawtucket City Council, we are proud to recognize June as the LGBTQIA+ community Pride Month and flag the rainbow flag, which we will fly in a few minutes, that clearly shows the city stands here with you in partnership and equality for all people. Pawtucket is a diverse community, and we welcome everyone to participate and be an active member in that community. The city is always happy to open up its doors and continuously opens up our doors. And while the event is a positive one, I do want to recognize that many in the LGBT community around the country and the world, they cannot live in the open for fear of their lives. And I forget that some of that we take for granted, and we must recognize that. This is not unlike the Black Lives Matter movement. We all understand these are difficult times, and I'm hearing from residents who, like many of you, have input and varying perspectives. But we need to come together as a community. The safety and well-being of all our communities and all our residents will remain a top priority of myself, the administration, police, fire, and our city council and state and local elected officials. And let's take a moment to just really recognize those who have lost their lives simply because of being themselves. So I ask you for a second of silence. I know we're tight. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today in remembrance. I am now honored to welcome to the podium someone who has always been a fighter for this community. She serves as our chief judge, Pawtucket Municipal Court, and represents District 15 as our Senator Donna Messer.
Thank you, Mayor Don Grebian. You've always been such a great friend and colleague in our fights. I also want to thank you, Ashley, It is really a pleasure to be here with my colleagues in government and my colleagues in the fight for what is right. I want to thank Rhode Island Pride for thinking outside of the box this year and putting together this multi-city Zoom celebration, because you see the spirit of equality simply cannot be squelched. And as a state senator, I've been so happy to be able to provide a small legislative grant to Rhode Island Pride to facilitate our celebrations each year. And so today it's kind of amazing to me that we are raising the gay flag on the steps of City Hall, because I have to tell all of you that almost 40 years ago, when I was a young college student at Brown University, I would have never thought it was possible that we would fly the gay flag on the steps of any City Hall in this state or any state in the country. And also at that time, 40 years ago, I was so glad that Brown University was some 500 miles away from Buffalo, New York, where I grew up, because I feared that I would be disowned by my very Catholic family. And I feared that despite my Brown education, my hopes and dreams might still be stilted and daunted because of the fact that I was gay. And ladies and gentlemen, I am so happy to be here today to say that so much has changed in one lifetime. From the passage of gay civil rights to the enactment of marriage equality as the law of the land, it is just an amazing time to get together and celebrate despite all of the challenges that we face. And we must also today recognize that there is so much more work to be done. So this month, this week, and throughout the month of June, we'll gather here in cities across Rhode Island and cities throughout the nation to celebrate gay pride. But ladies and gentlemen, we do so at a time when our Black and brown brothers and sisters are facing incredible cruelty in the form of discrimination, racial inequality, brutality, and sadly, even murder. So we must double down on our fight. We all know that no one is free until we are all free, and that we join together to support each other in our movements for equality. And I'm so happy today, I must comment on the fact that the United States Supreme Court delivered our LGBTQ plus community a big victory, and did so on the heels, and I think as a rebuke to President Trump, who last week tried to roll back the protections for some, especially in our trans community. And so today we come together to say that that will not be tolerated, that we will come together and we will vow to continue to fight together, Black and brown, gay and straight, young and old, for as long as we need to be here. And I can't wait to raise the flag with my friends and colleagues.
Yep.
Yeah, so they are going right now to raise the pride flag right now over there. Nate, is there any chance we can move a little closer to see that flag go up? Oh, yay.
That's wonderful.
I hope that fills my heart with so much joy. Thank you so much to everyone over there. And now, where are we in this wonderful Warwick? So we are super excited to include the city of Warwick for the first time ever in this program. This will be the first time Warwick will fly a pride flag, and we are honored to have them join us. Congratulations, Warwick. To pass it over to our friend Brett Jacob, Mr. Gay Rhode Island 2019.
Go ahead.
Hey everybody, I'm so happy to be here in Warwick. Thank you for the introduction, Elijah and thank you to Mayor Solomon and members of the City Council who have participated in the first ever Pride flag raising in Warwick. I want to say thank you so much to Ricky, who is our keynote speaker, a prominent member of our community, and I am just I'm so thankful to be here And I'm so thankful to Ray Sirico and Ken Barber, who have put an incredible amount of effort into this coordinated statewide flag raising. And I'll tell you, it never really gets old looking at that flag, seeing it wave. And every time I see it, I reflect a bit on what it means to me. And frankly, when I see that flag, I am reminded of our community's struggles. I'm reminded that despite what current events would tell you, in the 80s, at the height of the epidemic that was then called gay cancer, our government had no interest in funding research and medicine to save the lives of tens of thousands of our siblings. And I'm reminded that up until today, employment discrimination was legal in so many states across the country based on sexual orientation and gender identity. And I'm reminded that all of the culmination of the systemic microaggressions and blatant acts of discrimination in laws and behaviors that exist all throughout this country have contributed to such a gap in the health and the well-being of our community in almost every way that we measure society, in housing security, in employment, in unemployment, and in income. And I'm reminded of that when I see the flag. But I'm also reminded of how, despite being up against forces that are seeking to invalidate our humanity as a community, we coalesce around each other and we fight for equality and we fight for justice. I'm reminded of the countless volunteers in the 80s who were caring for dying AIDS patients. Even though these patients were kicked out of their house and fired from their jobs, volunteers caring for them. I'm reminded of organizations like the Transaction Coalition and LGBTQ Action Rhode Island, who are still on the forefront of fighting for equal justice and policy at the statewide level for all members of our community. And I'm reminded of Rhode Island Pride, who at the onset of COVID organized one of the first statewide food delivery services that were completely powered by volunteers and over 10,000 small dollar donations. And with that, feeding over 13,000 people. I am reminded of how beautiful and how strong this community is when we coalesce together and we fight for justice. However, we still have work to do. Just as this flag has evolved from the traditional pride flag to incorporate black and brown stripes as an acknowledgement that the movement has traditionally left out folks of color in our community, so too do our actions and our behaviors need to evolve with this movement. The same networks of allies and fundraisers and lawsuits that we deploy to advance and win marriage equality and advance and win the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and to advance and win research and life-saving medicine for the AIDS epidemic, we need to deploy those networks to center the voices and experiences of people of color in this community, and we need to deploy those resources to advance racial justice. It should come as no surprise that the same forces that were seeking to invalidate our humanity as queer people are only exacerbated by the systemic racism that is embedded in our country. We must acknowledge this. We must acknowledge this. As an example, for Black trans women, the average life expectancy is 35 years old. 35 years old. I am confident that if we as a community coalesce, as we always have, and we elevate the voices of folks of color, particularly Black Americans, we will arrive at a point where we can confidently and clearly say that lesbian Black lives matter, gay Black lives matter, bisexual Black lives matter, transgender Black lives matter, queer Black lives matter, intersex Black lives matter, and asexual Black lives matter. Thank you.
Oh my God, thank you so much, Brett. So we're going to take it over to a video from Mayor Solomon to make his remarks about Pride Month and this flag raising. You just give us a moment to cue that up. I grew up in Warwick, so it is amazing to see that flag flying there for once. So. All right, if you just give us one moment, we'll have that video up from Mayor Solomon. And
as Mayor of the City of Warwick, it is an honor to join you virtually for this flag raising. And I am very proud to be the first Mayor of Warwick to honor the month of Pride. I know this year's celebrations are very different from how they've been in the past. We are still social distancing and avoiding crowds. However, I am glad that the organizers of Rhode Island Pride were able to find a creative way to safely celebrate. I also want to acknowledge my colleagues, the officials from the 7 other cities and towns across Rhode Island who joined me in today's flag raising. Barrington, Central Falls, Newport, Woonsocket, East Providence, Pawtucket, Cranston, and Providence. I'm pleased to join all of you here to celebrate our state's LGBTQIA+ community. And by all of us joining together to raise the pride flag across Rhode Island, we are sending a strong message. Our communities celebrate all of our members. We do not tolerate hate, discrimination, or bigotry. I would also like to thank all of the Pride Board members who organized this event and work to make sure we could all safely participate. Just this weekend, I spoke virtually like I'm doing here at a service marking the anniversary of the burning of the HMS Gaspee, an event that happened right here in Warwick and eventually led to the American Revolution. As I observed during the Gaspee celebration, our nation was founded upon the principles of freedom, equality, and justice. In fact, Rhode Island itself was founded by people who were considered rebels and revolutionaries. Roger Williams was banished from the Massachusetts Bay Colony for his radical views, so he came here to Rhode Island seeking religious freedom and tolerance. I think all of us here can relate to that. Really, that's what most of us want. Freedom to celebrate whatever religion you choose, to love whomever you choose, and tolerance for all people, regardless of affiliation, background, origin, or sexuality. This pandemic has been a very difficult time for many people and many businesses. It's safe to say that everyone participating in this service has been impacted one way or another by all that is going on in society today. From young to old, these are stressful times for all of us. And I know Rhode Island Pride has done a lot of work to help others during this difficult time. Your organization has helped to feed thousands of Rhode Islanders, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity during this crisis. You stepped up to help our community, even though sometimes many of you have felt like you belong. If one positive thing comes out of this terrible pandemic, I hope it's that we all learn to be a little bit kinder, or more tolerant, or more understanding of each other. I have said many times during this crisis that we will get through this together as a community. I want everyone here today to know that when I say together as a community, it means all of us. Everyone here today is an important part of our community. You all matter. I truly believe that together, as a community, we'll come through this crisis stronger than ever before. Thank you all, and happy virtual Pride Month.
Awesome. Now it is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker for Warwick, my good friend, Ricky.
Sorry.
Take it away, Ricky. Oh, there he is.
Go ahead.
Hi. Thank you to Rhode Island Pride for providing me with this platform to be able to share a piece of my story. By sharing a piece of me, I hope to spark conversation and lasting change as it relates to topics like Black Lives Matter, trans rights, complete equality and acceptance for the LGBTQIA+ community, as well as exploring, securing, and providing more resources to our amazing youth in our inner cities and surrounding neighborhoods. Good afternoon. My name is Ricky Arizari. I am of Puerto Rican and Cape Verdean descent, and I identify as a cis-gay male of color. I was born and raised in New Bedford, Massachusetts, by a family who has always taught that it takes a village. I'm a product of teen pregnancy, which meant from birth, I was stamped with the stigma of what society believes a Black man is. This disposition, as an interracial man of color, meant I was forced to work harder to make a presence of who I am and what I believe in. I spent a large portion of my childhood living in public housing while my parents, now separated, carved out their paths. I count my blessings daily because I was somehow lucky enough not to lose either one of my parents along the way. However, this is not the case for individuals like my little brother, other family members, or countless queer youth and individuals in the Black communities. I came out as gay at the age of 17 and was welcomed in the Providence community by the age of 19. It was around this time that I began to form lasting friendships and understand the meaning of what being, quote, in this together means. Unfortunately, this is also where I began to experience racism, homophobia, and transphobia. We, as queer people of color, would walk to our cars while being harassed by non-queer white men. Called names like faggots, the N-word, homos, queers, and worse. Heterosexual white men have chased us with their trucks while vandalizing vehicles at known queer establishments. Luckily, we weren't physically harmed. These acts of violence still continue today, however, it's just significantly worse. These acts have long-lasting effects on us. They affect our emotional state, our mental health, and our overall well-being. At the age of 22, I began working for a nonprofit organization who served individuals with acute psychiatric diagnoses. It was at this job that sparked my motivation to help others, fight for what is right, help to put an end to stigma and how Black gay men are viewed. About a year into this new career path, I began to date and settle into a relationship. The next 4.5 years now feel like one long nightmare. One that also has lasting effects on our emotional and mental state. About 6 months in, the violence began. It started with verbal altercations that escalated into heated screaming matches. Then a shove here, a shove there led to 3 concussions. I thought I had everything I could want, a great job, a partner, a beautiful home. I was blinded by things like vacations, clothes, shoes, and gifts. As time went on, things continued to escalate. Our altercations have escalated to now full-on physical fights. I was being choked up until I couldn't breathe and physically dragged through my apartment. I reached out for help and was told that I was a man and I should fight it out. I reached out to the law enforcement and they told me that the next time this happens to call somebody. So I stayed quiet and continued to find ways to fix my relationship. I soon alienated myself from my family, my friends, and just fulfilled that void with work. I secured 2 promotions in the process. Ironically, the more I succeeded at work, the worse my home life became. I developed severe anxiety and fell into a deep depression to where my therapist deemed me mentally unstable to work for over 3 months. I was out of work, I was depressed, I distanced myself from everyone, and all the groups my therapist recommended did not align with my personal experiences. I became so frustrated with searching for resources and searching for help, I just gave up. The chaos became normal. I told myself these things were just fine. He told me that people were jealous and I actually believed him. I was prescribed antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, and others to help me sleep. Once reintroduced, I had to agree to work part-time to prove my stability to handle my workload. the same job I had worked 3 years to achieve. I eventually got to a point where I needed to secure my income. I found a second job by an amazing friend and found my way to the Dark Lady and Alley Cat. I now had 2 amazing jobs, yet 0 happiness in the home, one bad fight leading to another. It was my then roommate and now close friend who took me aside and let me know that I was better than this. He showed me that I had a safe space here at the Dark Lady. He let me know that regardless of my race, my gender identity, my social status, or anything that is labeled upon me, that I can do this. They helped motivate and encourage me to get out, and eventually I did and never looked back. I can't help but to think about the other people just like me. Someone who's listening right now is in the exact same situation. They too have nowhere to go. They have no resources, no phone numbers to call. Some of us are not even lucky to have families from birth, or even both sets of parents. These folks have not found their chosen families and don't even know that they are not alone. Because reality is, we do not rely on law enforcement because law enforcement has let us down time and time again. Law enforcement are showing us that we do not matter by not holding non-people of color accountable, not accounting for the excessive aggression, racial profiling, and killings of our people. Fast forward today, I stand before you as a proud employee of the Dark Lady. I try my hardest to be an activist of the queer community, and I continue to keep on going. The last thing I want to touch on are the more recent social injustices that I have experienced from members of our own community and non-folks, profiles on social media, and most importantly, law enforcement. I have been accused and labeled a person who solicits illegal substances because my hat was backwards and I resemble what they believe is that person. I've gone out into the Providence communities and made attempts to secure gigs as a performer and was laughed at, while a non-person of color with no experience was given the same opportunity. I've witnessed my closest friends be physically attacked walking home. Individuals are drawing weapons at us in public eye, and law enforcement just look the other way. When people speak openly about their planned hate crimes, they're forming groups to sabotage our right to peacefully protest. The government is formulating excuses to justify these issues, and we are dying. Being murdered in the streets, recorded on video cameras, our trans folks are disappearing, being followed, sexually assaulted, and murdered, and still, almost nobody is being held accountable. But then people wonder why we are so angry. In order to make the change you want to make, or the change you say you want to make, you must first identify the part you played in the situation. So we are asking that you take ownership over your lack of abilities to keep us safe and fix this. Stop treating us like we do not matter. Don't look at us as if we are beneath you, like we have an inability to carry an intellectual conversation. In closing, regardless of your views, we are all fighting for what we believe is right, to ensure a safe and successful world for our upcoming leaders. That is our youth. But our youth have spoken, and they have spoken loudly and peacefully. They are telling us, as young as 14 years old, they are telling us that Black lives matter. So listen and implement change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ricky. So next up is Cranston. This is Cranston's second year doing a flag raising ceremony. I think it's important to note that all of the flags flown in the cities and towns is a flag from the More Color, More Pride campaign, also known as the Philly flag, which incorporates the black and brown stripes at the top of the flag to signify the importance of people of color in our movement. So let's go live to Cranston right now and see if we can see our Miss Lesbian 2019, Trisha Phelan.
Coming on now.
There she is.
All right,
Hey, Trish, how you doing?
Hi everyone. My name is Trish Phelan. I'm Miss Lesbian Rhode Island 2019. Welcome to the flag raising here at Cranston City Hall. I have a few words for you. First and foremost, I want to say, and probably the most important thing I'll say today is Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Today we raise a flag in honor of Pride Month. It's important to note that the black and brown stripes on this flag, the Philadelphia Pride flag, represent our siblings of color. This is supposed to be a time where many of us are preparing to join our fellow members of the LGBTQIA+ community to celebrate our history, but we find ourselves back where we started, fighting for our rights. Our communities of color are under attack, and the LGBTQIA+ community is not exempt. Our siblings are under attack and have been for over 400 years. Enough is enough. It is time we stand up as a community. We fight for equality for all, not just for some of us. As Marsha P. Johnson said, there will be no pride for some of us without liberation for all of us. Things in our community are far from perfect. We may have won a marriage equality, and it was a long, hard fight, but that was just a baby step. As a community, I feel like we settled for a victory while ignoring the struggles of our most marginalized in our community. Marriage equality was just one battle. While many transgender folks struggle to find adequate health care, housing, employment, and many other services too many of us in this community take for granted. If you add racial inequality to that equation, it only gets worse. We need to do better. We need to be doing more, and we need to do better. Our trans siblings are under attack by our current administration. Just 3 days ago, the Trump administration rolled back discrimination protections for trans folks in healthcare and insurance coverage during a global pandemic on the 4-year anniversary of a massacre of 49 Latinx lives in the LGBTQ community in a nightclub where they were just having fun. Trans folks are being harassed and murdered every single day at the hands of our law enforcement, at the hands of their partners, at the hands of other members of our community, at the hands of each other. We need to be doing better. I want to say to my trans community, you aren't alone. I'm here. I know that my skin color affords me privileges that many others do not have. And although I faced my own challenges with harassment and violence for my appearance, I didn't have to fear for my life when the police showed up. It's been 54 years since the Compton cafeteria riots. If you're unfamiliar, look it up. A bunch of trans women of color stood up against police brutality. A few years later, we had the Stonewall riots, known for where our pride comes from. Both events were pushbacks against police brutality against the LGBTQIA+ community, who was being raided regularly for no other reason than who they were. 50 years ago today, people stood up for themselves, or 50 years ago, not today, but recently, people stood up for themselves and for us, and they said, enough is enough. Trans women of color specifically took a huge stand for all of us so that we may be here today. But how far have we really, how far have we really come in 50 years? Are we really honoring those folks who stood up for us so long ago? Transgender people are facing an epidemic of violence, and we must say, enough is enough. Trans Black women are dying violent deaths at an alarming rate, and too many of us are quiet about it. Police are murdering people of color in broad daylight when we have a very long way to go. Our fight didn't end with marriage equality, and you are the most important parts of this path. You will be the ones lobbying, voting, and marching alongside our siblings. And it will be a much longer fight than you anticipate. But I beg that you learn your history. Learn where pride started. Learn where we come from. Protect your future and ours, and the only way to do that is to know where we started. If you search Google and watch documentaries and read books that are not written or made by people who look and act and are just like you. Talk to people in your community who don't look like you. They have lived these experiences. If we were to have Pride this year, our theme would have been Don't Hide Your Pride. The first Pride was a riot. Show me what your pride looks like. Black Lives Matter. Next, I'd like to introduce Councilwoman Barrington. Oh, sorry. Okay. I thought you were next. Okay.
Hello, I'm Councilwoman Lamas Vargas, and I represent Ward 1 here in Cranston. Welcome to Cranston. Thank you, Tricia Felon, Miss Lesbian, Rhode Island, who is a Cranston resident, and joining us this evening, and Thomas Cardosa, who will be sharing with us a poem shortly. I'd like to recognize Mayor Alan Fung, Mayor here of the City of Cranston, who's with us this evening, and Council President Michael Farina, who's also here with us, and many other elected officials and council members that are streaming live from their home. This is the second Pride flag raising ceremony where I take great pride along with my fellow council members and the residents of Cranston in recognizing Pride Month, and of course, celebrate with all of you today's U.S. Supreme Court victory on the ruling that employers cannot discriminate against employees based on their sexual orientation or gender identity, which has been one of the biggest celebrations for the LGBTQIA+ community since the decision of gay marriage. Now, it's been a tough year, and without a doubt, last few weeks has been quite difficult to digest for many of us in our country, for our state, and for our respective communities. As you all know, the original flag raising was set on June 2nd, and at the time it was not appropriate to have a celebration in light of the recent demonstrations regarding the murder of George Floyd. I want to thank the Rhode Island Pride Organization for taking action and moving the date to a statewide effort, as well as each city and town here in Rhode Island who is participating in demonstrating an act of unity today. During this time of need, we must unite peacefully to overcome prejudice, acceptance, and continue to advocate for the rights of so many, but also our LGBTQ and plus family, friends, and neighbor. 51 years ago, there was a similar revolution as there is today. 51 years ago, the Stonewall riot took place in New York City. Many activists came together to speak up for the rights of the LGBTQ+ community. One of the activists fighting for equal rights was an African-American transgender Black woman. Her name was Marsha P. Johnson. She was an activist for the gay liberation movement. I didn't know too much about Marsha P. Johnson, but when I did read about her, I came across a Time magazine article published this past Saturday, noting that we continue losing many lives because of gender discrimination, but mostly we're seeing a high number of Black transgender women murdered due to violence. As we see and join the nationwide demonstration for racial justice, we must also advocate, raise awareness in unison to stop the hate towards the LGBTQ community plus and embrace it. Here in Cranston, we have an amazing community full of diversity. And I want you to know that you are welcomed here, regardless of the color of your skin, your ethnicity, or your sexual orientation. If you feel differently, I am here to listen. If you feel differently, I am here to also advocate. Now, I'd like to end by extending an invitation to all of you. On June 22nd, the next scheduled Cranston City Council meeting, I welcome you to virtually join my colleagues of the Cranston City Council and I, where we will be proclaiming and recognizing June as Pride Month here in our beloved city, where diversity is embraced and where diversity is beautiful. Now, without further ado, I'd also like to go ahead and now welcome the remarks for Cranston City Mayor Alan Fung. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I'm Mayor Alan Fung. Very excited to be here once again alongside the Council President, all the members of the City Council, other elected officials on this very special occasion where we have an opportunity to join every community across our state in celebration of Rhode Island Pride Month. And I want to take a moment to thank Ms. Lesbian Rhode Island for very thoughtful words to kick off this event, but most importantly to welcome all of Rhode Island Pride, the community members here within our diverse community of Cranston.
it is an opportunity where we get a chance to celebrate by raising for a second year in a row that pride flag. But know that this isn't just going to be the second year. It's going to be a continuing commitment by all of Cranston to stand alongside with all of you. And I want to take a moment to thank Rhode Island Pride for continuing to raise the awareness of everyone, not just in Cranston, but all across our communities in Rhode Island about many of the important issues within our own backyards. Because now, more than ever, it is a time to overcome hate. Hate that is within so many because of people that don't understand what it is like. But as mayor, as council people, school committee people, anyone else, we're here to listen, learn, most importantly, stand beside you. And that's what raising the flag is all about. And as the councilwoman noted, today was a very historic day in our nation's history with that U.S. Supreme Court decision. And that decision, by not just a narrow majority, but a 6-3 majority, affirmed your right to not be discriminated against in basically your second home, the workplace, whether it's the city of Cranston or wherever you might work every single day. And that's an important right that has come, and we will continue to work with you year after year, day after day, standing by your side on many of these important issues here in the city of Cranston. So congratulations on this very special day. We look forward to standing with you along with all of Rhode Island. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce our Cranston Council President, Michael Farina, to say a few words, please.
Thank you, Councilmember Vargas. My name is Michael Farina. I'm the Cranston City Council President. We've heard from some great speakers today across all our communities. I want to thank Rhode Island Pride for bringing us all together as one group of people to listen, to learn, and to understand the struggle that everyone faces. Equality, inclusivity are not words. They are your rights as Americans. We need to push for equality for everyone, not just Cranston people, not just Rhode Islanders, but the entirety of our country. We need to come together, listen to activists, and understand that the challenge we face is real. And the only way we can solve it is together. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And thank you to all the speakers who spoke. I'm happy to be here to support the flag raising for all the LGBTQ plus community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council President. I'd also like to go ahead and invite Thomas Cardoza to recite a poem, if possible. Thomas can come over. As Thomas is reciting the poem, we will also be raising the pride flag here at Cranston City Hall.
Just before I recite, I'd like to say I'm very happy to be here. I'm happy to have the opportunity to be invited here, and in light of the country's situation in the last, I'd say, decade or more, it's very special to be here as a bisexual African American man and be able to have a stage. And I would hope that more people in my position are able to do things like this moving forward. But this first poem I'd like to recite, this has to do with the love of oneself in general, because it all starts with you as an individual. If you recognize that you can love yourself, then that's where the progress starts, and that's where you can make your stance and affect how your community treats people like you, people in your situation. I stand at your mirror naked at midnight. Lately, I don't like the face I see in the mirror because it looks like a boy who turned to a man, who's starting to believe he was never a child, wildly clawing at my skin till again I'm recalling my innocence. I had some, but when? Dark circles filled with whiskey and whimpering, where bright eyes once made their home, now alone, floating in two pools of weathered brown leather. My chapped lips had secrets, like yellow teeth and cigarettes. Dehydrated, wide-gaped mouth full of history. Misty breath leaves me, a wistful wish grieves me. My tongue wants to leave me, it's tasted too much. A crinkle-cracked beard that I once longed to have and have dawn my fat cheek so a man you would see as I walk through the streets, now is weak and unkempt, and still doesn't cover my cheeks. God damn it. My eyes descend. My chest like a map of how not to use broken glass, don't even ask. Inside is the heart, such a piece of art, that at times feel like a rubber ball pulling itself apart. Behind it, quivering lungs filled with disease and weed and smokes that I choked down after sex when we were still together. And the soot lasted longer than we did. Still love you, don't think of me. Beneath sentiment and heart and lungs lies my pelvis. Give me a break. Like the crack in your kneecap, you crackpot, abusing your legs when they took you so far. Legs that won races, legs that stomped faces, legs that strode paces to run from the cops. I see feminine thighs, I see chicken shins, I see duck feet. And I ascend, ascend, ascend. Then I look back up and start at the top. My sweaty forehead shines through your bathroom's dim light, and the buzz of electric matches buzz in my mind. My brain looks like matrix code, my tears follow suit. And that's when you realize that now I see you, and now you see me, and now I see you, and now you see me. And I see. If eyes are windows to the soul, maybe mirrors aren't just for vanity. Sanity tells me that mirrors to the whole. The collective of glances and adjusting our stances to mimic people who don't give us chances, to frantically make up and shave and throw up, all landing in the sink below. So maybe people are mirrors mimicking my movements when I say hello. Now I bid your mirror goodbye. I do not put my clothes back on. You've seen everything. And I just have one more.
Yeah.
It took 116 days for our forefathers to write the Constitution. It took 116 days. Middle-aged white men had wooden teeth and wrote historical documents with feathers. Men who kept slaves to make their own lives better, battered each other and shouted. But in glory we have them shrouded. Whether or not you think the Constitution is just a piece of paper drawn on by Neanderthals who shouted, "In God we trust." We stopped writing in hieroglyphs because they got outdated. But ancient forefathers' words are upheld and mandated. Words that shame a man if that man a man dated. Words that make legal slaves of those who are incarcerated. Words that say luxury tax for those who have menstruated. Nah, I'm all set. Let's reset. Make a bet that the 99 will not regret making. Ours for the taking are the powers that be. You and me, he and she, across the spectrum, we can see. The system has never been for we. Rather, it protects the elite who militarize our streets, who molest our young teens just like Jeffrey Epstein. And boys in blue and orange men give the nod, and a man is caught by the knee until he can't breathe, till his soul gently leaves. We're left looking in awe at the terrible loss, and then beat down, but we put on our gauze, because these are the first steps in writing a new clause that makes laws for the people and not people hurt by laws.
Beautiful job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas.
So we're going to be having Jaden start raising the flag. Jaden, if you
Woo!
Yay! Doing a little sign language applause over here. So thank you so much, Cranston. Last but certainly not least, our capital. We have a video presentation first for Providence, and then I get to have the honor to introduce some lovely folks here at Pride to you all. So let's get that video. Well, while I have this time to vamp, I hope you all in Providence were able to see the Woman X project onto the side of the State House our little message. And if you didn't, then you can go check out the Rhode Island Pride Facebook page to see what was posted on the side of the State House. So let's play this video.
Our annual Pride flag raising in Providence includes flag bearers representing the diverse, intersectional, LGBTQIA+ community that we are. These are the faces of Rhode Island Pride. Transgender Pride, carried by MX Trans Rhode Island 2019 Semi-Suite. This flag represents the pride of the transgender community. The colors of the flag are blue, the traditional color for boys, pink, the traditional color for girls, and white to represent those who are intersex, transitioning, or do not identify with a particular gender. This is the Progress Pride flag, carried by Mixed Gay Rhode Island 2019 Pulp. This is a redesigned pride flag. Representation matters, especially for the most marginalized communities within the LGBTQIA+ community. This new design is meant to be representative of queer people of color and trans people's roles within the queer community. This is the More Color, More Pride flag, carried by Mr. Gay Rhode Island 2019 Brett Jacob. This flag was introduced in Philadelphia in 2017 to represent an intersectional pride of being part of the LGBTQIA+ community and a person of color. It also represents the fact that the LGBTQIA+ community as a whole stands in solidarity with our brothers and sisters and siblings of color. This is the pansexual pride flag, carried by Tina Blanky. This flag is used to increase visibility and recognition of the pansexual community and to distinguish it from the bisexual community. It is used to indicate pansexuals are attracted to and have relationships with people of different genders and sexuality. This is the non-binary pride flag, carried by Andrea Ramirez. This flag represents the part of our community that does not identify with a particular gender and may express a combination of masculinity and femininity or neither. This is the lesbian pride flag, carried by Michelle. This flag is used to represent the pride associated with identifying as a lesbian in our very own diverse community. This is the bisexual pride flag, carried by Mixed Bisexual 2019 Jess Modalzari. This flag represents the bisexual community. The colors of the flag are pink, representing attraction to similar genders, purple, representing attraction to both similar and different genders, and blue, representing attraction to different genders. This is the Labras lesbian flag, carried by Miss Lesbian Rhode Island 2019 Trish Field. This represents that overall lesbians, women, and feminism in all people who identify as female who are attracted to females. Labras is a symbol of female empowerment to lesbians and feminists. This is the leather pride flag, carried by Chris Martin. This flag represents the leather subculture within the LGBTQIA+ community. Flag, carried by Ray Sirico. In 1977, Harvey Milk challenged Gilbert Baker, a veteran who taught himself to sew, to come up with a symbol of pride for the gay community, which gave our community the original pride flag, inspired by Judy Garland's Over the Rainbow. These colors flew at the San Francisco Gay Freedom Day parade celebration on June 25th, 1978. This is the traditional rainbow flag, carried by A.J. Delsingmore. The rainbow flag was popularized as a symbol of the gay community by San Francisco artist Gilbert Baker in 1978. And this is the polyamory pride flag, carried by Annie B. Frank, Ryan Welch, and Cameron Spiragolosi. This flag represents the polyamory community who feel fulfilled in relationships that include 2 or more people. This is the beer pride flag, carried by Jaden Vieira. This flag represents the beer community within the LGBTQIA+ community. The flag colors represent the colors of wild beers worldwide. The beer culture promotes body positivity and acceptance. The pride flag, carried by Elijah Dickinson. This flag represents those in our community who don't experience sexual attraction unless they have an emotional connection with their partner. This is the Stars and Rainbow flag, carried by Rhode Island Pride Vice President Ken Barber. This flag represents the intersectional identity of a belonging to the LGBTQIA+ community in a United States city. This is the genderqueer flag, carried by Nate Banks. This flag represents people whose gender identity do not exclusively belong to either masculine or feminine. As a result, they may be a combination of both genders or none altogether.
I'm Ray Sirico, President of Rhode Island Pride. I have the distinct privilege of introducing you to one of the queer community's strongest supporters. From taking part in as many Pride celebrations as possible, including rallying with us at Cathedral Square last year when the Bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Providence denounced our community. The 38th Mayor of the City of Providence has shown us repeatedly what it means to be an ally. Please welcome Mayor Jorge Elorza.
Yeah. So I was feeling a little left out of the flag raising ceremony, and I'm a little extra, so I brought all the flags I could find. So yeah, I got the trans flag over here, the lesbian flag, our Philly flag, a bear flag, the flag. I'm doing really well here, but now I'm like not doing really well because I don't remember everything else. This is a pop quiz for everyone. Were you paying attention? What's this flag? I'm pretty sure this is a genderqueer flag. Green, purple, white, green.
I'm feeling the test.
And the pink, green, and blue? I really don't know.
Well, we'll come back to that.
I know it'll be whoever guesses the correct or whoever tells me the correct answer first. I'm gonna scroll through the comments and you'll get something special from me. Don't know what it is, but you'll get something from me. Yeah, that's not COVID. You'll get something from me. That's not COVID. So while I have all these flags here, I need people from. Oh, just kidding.
Do you want to keep going?
Yeah, I'm gonna claim my time here. While I have all these flags here, I need people from all these sectors of this community to come join us for our march on Saturday. The resilience. I want to say resistance and rebellion, like it's like Star Wars, but I know that's not true. Resilience and Tina. Resilience, resistance, and see, I'm thinking Star Wars, and I'm like the rebellion, and it's no. Resistance and Resilience rally at 4:30 Cathedral Square, and I hope to see every single person watching, and then bring like 5 friends, and then have those friends bring like 10 friends, and have those 10 friends bring like 20 friends, and then we'll just like take over Providence. Okay. So next up, we have a little presentation from Mayor Elorza.
Thank you for the introduction, Ray. I'm honored to be part of this year's digital celebration. I know this is not how we were hoping to hold this event. There would have already been buzz around the city in anticipation of this year's Rhode Island Pride Fest and Illuminated Night Parade. I know it was a difficult choice to cancel Pride Fest in its usual form this year, but the city thanks you for prioritizing the health and safety of our community as we respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. This year's theme, Don't Hide Your Pride, is so fitting for what we are collectively experiencing right now. While we might only be starting to see each other under these new restrictions, pride in oneself and community can be fostered and cherished from afar. Rhode Island Pride's work over the last few months should be a source of statewide pride. Rhode Island Pride Food Drive fed more than 13,000 Rhode Islanders in need, so thank you and congratulations. Access to healthy food is extremely important at any time, but especially in moments like this. And with more folks slipping into food insecurity, your efforts were monumental. The symbolic rainbow flag we raised today represents and celebrates the LGBTQIA+ community. Being away from family, friends, and chosen family during this entire pandemic, I know has been extremely difficult and may be isolating for many of us. But thank you to Rhode Island Pride for your dedication to maintaining and fostering connectivity, community cohesion, and acceptance from afar. Our city's LGBTQIA+ community, even during the most challenging times, sets a glowing example of helping one's neighbors and embracing all that each person has to offer that contributes to a more whole community. Let the flag we raise on City Hall today be a reminder and comfort to all that we are not only a people of inclusion, but a city of kindness. As mayor, I have always been with you. I am with you now, and I will continue to stand with you. Here's to good health and safety to all.
Awesome. So for those of you who are keeping up with us with our flags, I was correct in gender fluid, gender queer, but I was incorrect, and this is the non-binary flag over here. And if you want to find out what this one was, you'll just have to stay tuned. So I now have the honor to introduce a good friend and the let me get the title correct, the Vice President of Festival and Parade, Mr. Joe Lazzarini, to make his remarks. Applause, applause, applause.
Hello, everyone. I'm actually going to be short today, but I wanted to take a moment to, wish you all a happy Pride. I know that right now, times are tough. Right now, Rhode Island Pride, just like many other folks in the community, are at a crossroads. We're in the midst of two pandemics. One pandemic caused by COVID-19 and another caused by racial injustice across this country. Rhode Island Pride as an organization is looking deep within our own organization to make changes that we need to make to better represent people of color within our own community. And that's a commitment that Rhode Island Pride as an organization is making to each of you. I know you're going to hear from my friend and Pride colleague, Tina Blanky, about that in just a minute. But Rhode Island Pride is committed to making changes more than ever. With your support, I know we'll all come together and continue to make Rhode Island Pride a place where everyone can come together and celebrate. This Pride this year is much different. We're not coming together in the sense that we normally do, but we'll be coming together in a way that is more powerful than ever, coming back to our roots. In 1976, when the first Pride March happened in Cathedral Square, all through downtown and through our city with the 76ers. Many of those 76ers are still with us. Many have passed on, but their legacy and fight to battle the hard-fought wins that we've had since 1976 will not be forgotten, and we'll continue to fight for them. Back in 1976, when our first Pride March happened, it almost didn't. The 76ers took the city and police department to federal court and won a battle to have our first Pride March. And we'll take that battle as far as we have to do to represent the LGBTQIA+ community here in Providence and across our state. So thank you so much for tuning in for our Pride flags across Rhode Island today. I hope you enjoyed yourself and enjoyed the videos and hearing the inspiring stories. But the inspiring story that you all need to hear is your own. I believe in you. Rhode Island Pride believes in you. And we'll continue to get through all of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joe. So to wrap up our little flag quiz, this beautiful flag over here, this one is the polysexual flag. And while the flag that I identify with and this upcoming speaker identifies with pansexual isn't here, it is always in our hearts. So I have the honor to introduce the Vice President of Communication Outreach, and damn has she been doing a good job with it, Tina Blanky.
This is June, Pride Month for many of us. Over 50 years since Stonewall, when Stormy and Marcia and drag queens and butch lesbians stood their ground against police brutality and decided together no more would they be treated like second-class citizens. No more would they bow down to police brutality. It's been half a century, and what has changed for some of us? We can legally marry, and today we finally have inclusion for the right to gender expression and sexual identity, with federal protections from the Supreme Court. And what don't we have? We are forced into second parent adoption because we can't place our partner's name on the birth certificate of our children. We are scrutinized as parents and forced into paying legal fees and invaded with home visits. And this is for our own children. We have never-ending attacks and rollbacks on trans and gender expression protections for healthcare that would undoubtedly affect all of us. This loss of protection allows the discrimination by healthcare workers to select whom they provide care simply based on how anyone, whether straight, queer, or trans, presents themselves when seeking medical care. Our trans and gender nonconforming siblings have a higher rate of unemployment a higher rate of lack of health care, a higher rate of suicide. We have our Black siblings being brutalized by the police. They are executed without due process of law. They are terrorized in their own neighborhoods, and they're being labeled as criminals. But I guess it's easy to discriminate, to not care, to pretend it doesn't happen, when the victims don't look like you, when the problems don't affect you, when the inequality doesn't touch you. Growing up different in America, I am reminded every day of my difference. I'm a queer woman of color and am always seen as different, an outsider, maybe a souvenir brought home by our white soldier fathers, if we were lucky. I was even more blessed with a father who taught me about racial prejudices from an early age. He taught me about bias and race riots and protecting myself. When your skin isn't white enough, you're met with stares and grimaces from the silent ones. And from the rude ones, we are met with, "What are you? And where are you from?" As if my very existence is dependent on how you can classify me in your ethnicity box. And how you treat me depends on if you approve of my heritage or not. My Black siblings and my white allies stood by me most recently when I was targeted for COVID racist remarks only a few months ago. And now I stand with my Black siblings because I know what it's like to be targeted simply for the color of my skin and the legacy of my ancestors. I also know what it's like to have privilege because I can speak without an accent even when English is not my first language, because I have an education, because I own my own home. I also have privilege because my gender expression matches my assigned birth. And I also have privilege because I can pass in a straight world. I have also lived on a reservation, and I have been on welfare as a single mother, and I have empathy and compassion for anyone struggling to be part of a world that encourages the brutality of its citizens by its own government. As long as my privilege allows me, and as long as there is inequality, I will fight. Because without freedom for all, there is freedom for none. It's been over 50 years since Stonewall, and we have barely begun our fight. Thank you.
I can't even pretend to not be emotional and moved by that speech. So I guess my final remarks here is that I thank you, every single one of you, for being here and tuning in for this wonderful virtual flag raising. I hope that we can be with each other next year in person to raise all these flags. I am hoping to see all of you on Saturday for our march. And if you need any of that information, as a reminder, you can go to our Facebook page. The event is up. I'm asking you, I am begging you, I am pleading with you to come join our forces because we need every single voice. And I guess my closing remarks is thank you and Black Lives Matter, because that is the most important thing to say right now. So have a good night, everyone. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to leave it up to Ronan before ending the podcast this week.